Welcome to CEO Money. I'm Michael Yorba. I've got Dave Sikora, CEO of ALTR, ALTR, on the show with me today. Dave, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
I'm glad you're here too. All right, Dave, how did ALTR come about, and what makes it unique to the market?
So ALTR, it's a unique situation. ALTR has been around for over 4 years now. And the genesis, there's 6 founders of ALTR, and all extremely smart people. And they were in the financial services world where they built a marketplace to integrate a bunch of different options exchanges. And so when they got to be $1 billion a day in trading volume, they realized that they had a major trust and data security problem, especially when the regulators started coming along and asking for personal guarantees of data custody and data security. And so they realized they had a major problem. And when they exited that business, they decided that the world needed a new way to approach the cybersecurity and data security challenge. And so that was the early genesis, was a trust challenge and a data security problem. And so they again, after exiting that business, went off and started ALTR. And actually, so you asked about the uniqueness. One of the unique things that we do is we've figured out a way to leverage the elegance of the blockchain architecture towards solving really profound data security problems. And so they actually stumbled across blockchain when Bitcoin was being popularized back in the 2012, 2013 timeframe, and really was one of the first teams of people to separate blockchain from cryptocurrency, because now everyone conflates the two. And so when you do that and you look at the capabilities of blockchain and looking at blockchain as a tool, they've really done some amazing things in the application of that tool towards solving ways for companies to secure their enterprise data.
You started off the conversation by saying there were some profound things that were wrong with cybersecurity. What's the one big profound thing that you found that was wrong? And then about follow-up question on that, what's wrong with the current cybersecurity solutions on the market today?
Sure. Well, there's a lot there. I mean, those are and just talking about the current problems, I would say there's not really one specific problem, but a couple things. One is that there's been an intense focus on endpoint protection and building moats around the assets that companies want to defend, which really is their data. And with the proliferation of mobile devices and IoT, Internet of Things, there are a lot more things hanging on to these networks. I mean, the networks are ever expanding. And so the challenge of protecting those endpoints is almost a daily challenge. And it's hard to stay in front of the bad guys on that front. The second, which potentially could be one of the most significant challenges, is the challenges of insiders. And when we speak of insider threats, we don't necessarily mean that employees are bad actors or they have bad intentions, but sometimes it's just carelessness. It's someone clicking on a bad link, and all of a sudden now they're exposed to a major there their data's locked down, and someone's asking for $50,000 in Bitcoin to unlock their data. And so, but there could be employees on the payroll who are having financial problems. And it just so happens that they have access to enterprise databases with some really, really valuable information. And then I would say the third thing, so the first thing is focus on endpoint and the expansion of the network. The second is the insider threat. And really, I would say, the third thing is just how fast technology is changing in general, and along those lines, moving to the cloud. So now we have an expression at Alter that there is no cloud. It's just someone else's computer. I think our founding CEO, Scott Goldfarb, coined that, and I love that. I think he actually had a T-shirt made of it, and it's true when you think about it. When you're hosting, you're using Microsoft or Google Mail, or even much smaller applications that are in the cloud. That who has access to that data? Do you know? I mean, there could be thousands of people in those companies who have access to that data. What problems are those folks having in their lives? Have they all gotten background checks? And so companies are entrusting incredibly valuable enterprise assets. They're putting them into essentially the cloud, someone else's computer. So those are the three big challenges that we see.
Why aren't we treating data the same way we treat money?
That's a really good question. And we often use the expression here. We talk to groups of people. We'll say, okay, how many people in your company have access to your cash? How many can actually write a check or send a wire transfer? And usually, the answer is you can count on one hand the number of people. Then you ask the same question, how many people in your company actually have access to your data, your millions of customer records, your credit card numbers, other personal health related information, blank stares all around. No one really knows. And I think that is a mindset that we think has to change in order for breaches, in order for the industry to have a significant impact in driving the number of breaches down, that mindset really has to change.
What made you interested in joining Alter?
Well, so I met the Alter team in an earlier stage, and my background is all enterprise and infrastructure software, and so I've seen a lot of things and spent a lot of time around the database business and tangentially around the data security business. And so I had the opportunity to see some early work that the team, specifically the founding CEO, Scott Goldfarb, and the founding CTO, James Beecham, I met with them in 2016. And when I saw what they had done by leveraging blockchain technology, I really thought that this could be a major transformative technology for the industry. It's in some ways it's almost like a new file system. The way that that this team has figured out how to take enterprise data and essentially secure that data, and so it's I initially became an angel investor and then very informally was an advisor, and when the opportunity arose and they said they were looking for someone to help them take these products to market, thought it's very rare that you get an opportunity to be part of something that could be this world changing. So that's why I'm here. I've been CEO of public companies and venture-backed private companies, and I can honestly say that this is the most significant intellectual property that I've had the opportunity to be involved with. So it's a pretty exciting opportunity.
I can just tell from your voice, let alone how you described it. Okay, for those who don't know, why is blockchain such a good framework for cybersecurity?
It's a good question, and it's helpful to really just have just a basic understanding of what blockchain is. It's some people can describe it as an architecture for facilitating trust or governance, and that's really what it is. Blockchain. Think of blockchain as just a network of nodes, or servers on a network that all have the same copies of information as that information is building over time. And so what the Alter team figured out a way to take enterprise data whether that's from a database or from a file system, and break that into small pieces and store those pieces into these nodes of these blockchain networks. And then through some really innovative algorithms, consensus algorithms, they've figured out a way to reassemble that data at scale with very low latency. And so again, what I described earlier about the elegance of the blockchain architecture, think about fragments of information stored and copied, replicated around all these nodes, and then made available when the applications or when the users need them with very low latency. And so it really, it's a brilliant architecture for the next generation of really storing and securing data. It's virtually, because of the innovative use of the blockchain, it's virtually impenetrable. And some of the techniques and the mechanisms that the team have deployed here have made it even stronger. The way that they've done it. I don't know if I mentioned that we have 15 patents on our technology, which according to our patent attorney is about 10% of all the issued patents in the US around blockchain. So they've done some really innovative things. It's not just saying, here's a tool, blockchain, now go secure data. They've had to invent some really innovative consensus algorithms. They've had to invent some techniques for the way data gets broken up and then reassembled, and all the while thinking about how to do this quickly, because when a user hits an application and asks for information, they expect that to come back pretty quickly. And so that low latency lens has had to apply to everything that's been done in the company. So it's one of the things that we say is that the blockchain architecture is the confluence of three preconditions that are only getting better every day. And the first one is processing speed, and the second is large pipes, big fast networks. You need both of those for consensus algorithms, and then the third is cheap storage, because you're taking data and you're replicating it everywhere on multiple nodes of these networks. And to do the kinds of things that we're doing for storing and securing data, you really couldn't do even 5 years ago. And so now, with those preconditions accelerating in terms of the availability of all three of those assets, if you will, it's only going to get better.
Yes, I can see that. Now, you touched on this subject earlier in the conversation, but I just wanted to follow up and see if we can close on this. The unique capabilities of blockchain, public versus private, for those of us who don't know.
Okay, so there is it's almost a religious war in the kind of the blockchain ecosystem right now. Some, like the crypto groups, think that private blockchains aren't real blockchains, because in a public blockchain anyone can join, and the fact that network can expand almost anonymously, if you will, that does definitely add to the kind of the integrity or the trust element of that blockchain network. But again, getting back to blockchain is really just a tool. It doesn't have to be associated with cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is just, and public blockchains is just one use case of blockchain. It's kind of like in '95 when the World Wide Web came out. Everyone said, oh, that's the internet. Well, guess what? That wasn't the internet. The web is just an application that runs on the internet. And so it's the same thing now with cryptocurrencies and public blockchains. They're one application that uses blockchain. Now, in a private permissioned blockchain network, let's say inside of an enterprise, you can still have that high level of trust and governance over what's what that blockchain is being used for, because you might have, for example, a company might have, let's say, a trading business. The SEC could run a network, ALTR could run a network, and the customer could run a network. And those are all permissioned private blockchains, but no one has control over a majority of the nodes in those networks. So the trust level is really high. No one can take over that network, even though it is permissioned and it is private. So again, it's early stage. It's kind of 1995, 1996 again, as comparing that to the web and the internet. And I think we're going to see more and more, use cases that really effectively deploy these private permission blockchains. But that's really the difference is the public is mostly about crypto, and anyone joining. Private is a private architecture, but you can still create the same or similar levels of trust inside of those networks.
Great. Good explanation. Dave, thanks for being a guest on today's show.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for your time.
You're welcome. All right, you've been watching CEO Money with Michael Yorba. Don't forget, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.